How you doing? How you doing? And how you doing, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Petty, and I appreciate you stopping by today. And we gonna take a look at something pretty today. Now, the reason it's super pretty is because they just did a big graphics update and have kind of pushed out some teaser stuff for it over the last couple of weeks. Now, we saw some of this come out last, I want to say January, towards the end of January is when we first got a preview that Tower of Fantasy was focusing in a big way on improving their visual stuff. And it's not super surprising because all of the super early gameplay that we were seeing from it, it definitely looked really rough around the edges. Not overly rough, but it definitely had some room to get cleaned up. Now, we understood that it was very early in the development cycle when all of that stuff was coming out, so we expected to see a lot of change come from it. But we have a couple of videos to look at with you today, and then we're just gonna talk through some of the stuff and everything. And yeah, let's go ahead and just get into this because oh boy, it's pretty. It's pretty. Okay, so the first one that we're gonna take a look at is the one that they released towards the end of January. So we're gonna start with the OG, what they showed, and then we're gonna show you an even better comparison where you can really see the difference. Okay, so opens up into a little bit of a fade, and this is cool. Real quick, we'll just stop it. I really like the direction that they're going with the characters. I think going from this kind of look, which, excuse me, it really gives me some like Phantasy Star vibes, but like it just doesn't feel like there's a lot of detail in the face. It's kind of bland. Armor looks pretty sweet, but we can definitely tell that the character feels more put together right here. Now, not super definition on the face still, but everything feels more in line with each other. It doesn't feel as off-putting to me personally looking at that character model now. I'm not drawn to like what feels like a potato face. So we can definitely see that they're pushing a large change in style. Personally, I really like this because of the high-end customization that this game has for your character. I think this change makes it look and feel a lot more grounded. And, you know, there's some other games, I don't know if we should say any names, where it doesn't really feel like you're playing your own story at all. You're kind of just playing a storybook, you know what I mean? The characters don't feel like they're really yours. It's just something that you're kind of getting to be a part of in a weird third-party way. I have a feeling that this is going to feel much more personal, especially since instead of focusing having multiple characters, it's multiple weapons and weapon types that you have and that you're switching through in terms of combat for this game. So I think that's going to lead to people's characters feeling more personally developed. We don't really have any information yet as to what kind of like the gear is going to look like, what the build possibilities are going to be. But just with knowing the fact alone that there's several different weapon types that you'll be switching between or able to switch between in fights makes me believe that it's going to have some versatility to it that will really make your character feel unique and feel like it's yours. You know what I mean? That's one thing that I think a lot of games miss, is making the experience feel like a personal one to you. So that's the first one. Let's go ahead and do a quick jump cut to the second one. And also, real quick, guys, both of these videos are courtesy of Viniz here. The first one that we watched, there is another one that's uploaded by what looks like a fake Archosaur account, which if some of my Dragon Raja people might recognize that publisher's name. But regardless, we're going to go ahead and take a look at this second one, and this is a little bit where the wow factor was for me. So immediately we can see the difference in how they had set up the world previously and what the game is now looking more like. This is definitely a much bigger Breath of the Wild vibe. Okay, so real quick, let's get a meme out of the way. When we were covering Genshin in the beta, we encouraged people to not refer to it as a Breath of the Wild clone because it's wildly different. Art styles are a little bit similar. But it's a different enough of a game that it deserves to stand on its own 2 feet and not constantly be called that. So in that same spirit, I'm going to ask all my Genshin people to give Tower of Fantasy a fair shot here and not just be like, it looks like they're taken from Genshin. Because remember, there's people out there that are just going to be like, Genshin took from Breath of the Wild, what are you smoking? So let's not get all defensive in our separate gamer camps and just appreciate that it looks like a drastic improvement from what they were going for again. And I like I said towards the beginning of the video, I get very heavy Phantasy Star Online vibes from the original art style that they were going with. And I think what they've done and moved to now is much, much, much better. World doesn't look as cartoony and stuff, but let's keep watching it a little bit, see what else they show us. Also, I feel like they made the characters themselves look more like normal people, just in terms of like dimensions and proportions. It just feels realer, like I'm looking at a real person. Like, look at these little chicken legs right here. Like, I'm not here to shame anybody for their body, but that don't look like human legs. Looks like little skinny anime legs. This feels a lot more grounded and a lot more human in a way. So I like it. I like it. Another thing that I didn't point out when we were actually looking at this was there's a dramatic difference in what the actual like rock looks like right here, for instance. You know what I mean? There's much more detail in the environment. It's not as a rounded and smooth 3D model, which again is heavily what we saw in this original and everything. So adding little stuff like this, these little imperfections, that's absolutely beautiful. Only thing that they could potentially do from here is some displacement mapping and everything on this to really make it look more lifelike and have a lot more realistic blemishes and everything. But it's still absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'm here for the pretty rocks, y'all. Actually, low-key loves me some geology. If you ever want to watch some good geology stuff, look up Professor Nick Zenser, I want to say his name is, out of Central University of Washington State. Absolutely amazing. Top 10 geologist. Anyways, we just talked our way past something pretty cool. So if you're not familiar with this game, there's some traversing stuff in here. You can do everything from a skimboard thing, you have jetpacks and can fly. Obviously, it looks like they're using an ability with the sword to be able to kind of meme. Now it looks like they're using some two-handed dagger move to be able to drill themselves down. There's the jetpacks we were talking about. This kind of mobility and freedom in the game and being able to quickly switch between weapon types to do stuff like this is always a win. Always a win. Doing stuff like this gives players more choice, gives them more control over their gameplay, and every single time I think that is going to end up with a better product than something that forces players to either move around or use the space in their games in a very linear fashion. I think this is a very smart move, and I hope more games pick up stuff like this. If you can't tell, I miss Anthem a little bit, just a little bit. I want to fly again, man. But it's, looks so pretty. And the ability to move around the world and everything, just, I love that so much. That just looks so clean. Now, for everyone that is all aboard the hype train for this and is like in the back, just woo woo. Alright, real quick, let's chill on a couple of things because there is still a lot of information out on this game that is not available yet. We don't have any idea what they're going to do in terms of monetization. It is supposed to be a free-to-play game. It is supposed to be available on mobile and PC. So it's without having a lot of information from the developers themselves. And if any of you have any stuff like pictures, links, or videos to any of the stuff from any of the beta testing that might give us an inkling to some of this information, please God send me that way. Because I have Googled this 7 ways to Sunday and tried to find out this information. And as far as I know, we have no idea what the monetization is going to look like in this game. But if it's a free-to-play game and it's going to be on mobile, we're going to have to bet that there's going to be monetization in that. Now, given the limited things that we understand about the game already, and the fact that there's several different weapons, we can probably hazard a guess that monetization might come into play with gear, might come into play with getting new weapons or rolling for new weapons. Again, have not seen a lot of specifics on any gacha elements in the game so far. So I want to make sure that we're being responsible here and putting a huge caveat that this looks really, really pretty and all of us should want to fly around and beat up stuff in this world. We need to wait till we have more information. Don't get emotionally invested in this and think that this is going to be the greatest game ever. We're still largely in the dark. So while they've updated their graphics and the graphics look 100% better and way more natural and definitely feels like they're finding their rhythm with the game, it's not enough for us to be like, woo, it's gonna be amazing. Looks like it's gonna be really good. Genshin's really good. It's also riddled with issues that have driven 75% of the player base away. So let's see what they do with monetization. Let's see what happens with endgame content. Supposed to have dungeons, but again, not a whole lot of information coming down the pipeline. We're getting teasers and stuff like this, but you know, hopefully in the next couple of months we'll see some kind of larger betas for this, to where we get to see more test footage and are able to get a better idea of where the game is at now in terms of its internal systems, how they operate, what progression's going to look like. Because all of these things are going to, you know, factor into how long this game is gonna, what the lifetime of this game is gonna be, and how healthy that is going to be. That's one of the things that I always try to pay attention to when it comes to newer games. How much staying power are they going to have? So we've seen some games come out and not have staying power because they completely drop the ball with endgame content. You've got some games that will just time gate everything so hard that it's hard for you to realize that there's no content. But these are all super important things to kind of keep in mind when you're looking at newer games like this. You know, it's pretty easy to fall into the hype train, and your boy's got to admit, I'm a little bit excited after seeing this graphics update. But I still have 1.5 million questions, and I'm not, you know, hardcore team Tower of Fantasy yet. You know what I mean? We got some things we need to see before we put that stamp on it. But I wanted to go ahead and cover this since this was something that we missed, and I know that a lot of guys are looking forward to this, to Blue Protocol. I actually need to do some digging around on that and see if there's anything that I'm missing on that game as well. Because again, it's been a few weeks. The world moves by pretty fast. But I appreciate you guys for stopping by today. We're probably going to go ahead and call it here. I don't know if we're going to do another live stream tonight, but yesterday's live stream was awesome. We were at like 10 to 12 viewers the entire time, which is absolutely awesome. Thank you guys so much for showing up and watching me kind of feed. Okay, the Blitzcrank match, I absolutely fed that entire game, but I called it from the beginning and knew that I had locked in a terrible choice because I have no idea how to play up a tank. Jesus. But alright guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate you stopping by today. You're gonna have to catch your boy in the next one because we're out of here. Deuces.